Hi, Cules. Are you ready for a Blaugrana adrenaline rush? Because FC Barcelona in 2026 is on fire. And no, it's not just the Costa Brava sun heating things up. ANS Flick's team is writing an epic chapter. And if you're one of those who bleed blue and garnet, hold on tight to the couch, because it's more exciting than a last-minute goal from Lamine Yamal. Let's dive into the latest Barca news, with all the flavor of Camp Nou or the Olympic Stadium, depending on the progress of the work, and a touch of that cool humor that makes us laugh even on the days we lose. Let's start with the Champions League, because let's be honest, the big-eared cup is every Barca fan's ultimate dream. In 2026, Barca is determined to conquer Europe, and this isn't just a motivational phrase for the locker room. After the draw in Monaco, Flick's team already knows its opponents in the league stage: Newcastle, PSG, Chelsea, Eintracht Frankfurt, Bruges, Olympiacos, Slavia Prague, and Copenhagen. A walk in the park? Not at all. It's like venturing into a jungle with lions. But today's Barca is no longer the team of old, the one that trembled at a poorly defended corner. ANS Flick, that German with the face of a strict professor but a heart beating to the rhythm of tiki-taka, has the team well in hand. The first clash is on September 18th at St. James Park against Newcastle, a stadium that turns into a volcano when the local fans start roaring. But don't panic, Cules. This Barca doesn't back down. The second match day brings Luis Enrique's PSG to the Spotify Camp Nou or Montjuic, if the stadium work decides to take a longer coffee break than expected. Imagine Lamine Yamal dribbling past half of the Parisian team while Joan Laporta applauds from the stands as if he were at a Rosalia concert. And if you're already freaking out about this start to the Champions League, subscribe to the channel, because what's coming is even stronger, and you won't want to miss it. The Champions League schedule is no joke. After PSG, Barca faces Olympiacos at home and Bruges away. Two matches that, on paper, seem easier. But beware, in Europe, there are no small opponents. Then comes the trip to Stamford Bridge to take on Chelsea on November 25th, a duel that promises more sparks than a last-minute derby. The final match days against Eintracht Frankfurt, Copenhagen, and Slavia Prague are crucial to secure a spot among the top 8 and avoid the playoffs. Because yes, Cules, this new Champions League format is like a math exam. If you don't get a good grade in the league stage, you have to go through the playoffs, but this Barca, with the controller in hand, aims high. The final in Budapest on May 30th, 2026, is marked in red on every Cules calendar, and for good reason. The team hasn't lifted the Champions League since 2015, and the fans are tired of seeing others celebrate in the bars while we order another beer to drown our sorrows. Now let's talk about the transfer market, because Barca has moved the pieces like it's playing Monopoly with a sheik's budget. The arrival of Marcus Rashford, on loan from Manchester United, was the thunderbolt of the summer. This 27-year-old Englishman, faster than a rush-hour taxi, landed at Camp Nou on July 23, 2025, and is already making waves. Rashford brings not only his dribbling and goal-scoring talent, but also that hunger to prove he's still a star. Flick sees him as the perfect complement to an attack that already features Lamine Yamal, Lewandowski, and Rafinha. But it's not just about arrivals. The club had to perform acrobatics to comply with financial fair play, which meant saying goodbye to some names. Ansu Fati, for example, left on loan to Monaco with an option to buy, a decision that hurts the Cules soul but eases the budget. Nigo Martinez also headed to Al Nassr, and while his departure frees up wage space, he will be missed in defense. And watch out, the Marc-Andre ter Stegen saga continues to make headlines. The German, involved in a story of captaincy and jerseys, now has competition with the arrival of Joan Garcia, the new goalkeeper signed from Espanyol for $26.3 million. Will ter Stegen stay or pack his bags? It's as uncertain as the weather in Barcelona. And speaking of Lamine Yamal, what can we say about this kid? At just 18 years old, the Pibe already owns the number 10, inherited from none other than Lionel Messi. Every time Yamal touches the ball, Camp Nou seems to rise, and it's no coincidence. His brace against Mallorca on the first match day of La Liga was a spectacle that left more than one spectator speechless. Rashford, who isn't easily impressed, said that Yamal reminds him of Ronaldo Nazario. No less. But Barca doesn't live on Yamal alone. GAVI, now recovered from his injury, is once again that tireless engine in midfield, while PEDRI and Dani Olmo bring the magic that makes the stands sigh. And if you add to that the veteran Lewandowski, who continues to score goals as if he were 25, You get a team that blends youth and experience like a good vermouth with syrup. La Liga is also heating up, and Barça hasn't wasted any time. After a turbulent summer, the team started the 2025-26 season with a crushing victory over Mallorca thanks to goals from Yamal and Rafinha. The next challenge is Rayo Vallecano at Vallecas, a ground that is always a tough nut to crack. Hansi Flick, in his press conference, didn't mince his words. Rayo plays offensive football, it will be a complicated match, but if there's one thing this Barça has, it's guts. The team travels today, August 31, 2025, with the intention of adding 3 more points and reaching the international break with the leadership in hand. Because yes, Cules, this Barça doesn't just want to win, it wants to pull away at the top of the table. And if you enjoy this narrative as much as we love watching Barça in action, subscribe to the channel, because you won't see this on just any news program, and what's coming promises to be even stronger. But not everything is rosy, because it's Barça, and there's always a bit of drama to spice things up. The issue of the Spotify Camp Nou continues to be the talk of the town. The renovation work is progressing, but at a snail's pace with a hangover. The club has notified UEFA that it wants to play its Champions League home matches at Camp Nou. But if the City Hall permits don't arrive in time, the Luis Company's Olympic Stadium will be Plan B. Imagine the Cules singing the anthem at Montjuic. While the workers at Camp Nou argue over whether the cement is mixed properly, Joan Laporta, with his characteristic optimism, insists that everything will be ready soon, but just in case, the club has already booked the Montjuic Stadium until February. And speaking of Laporta, the president is in his element. Between reopenings, transfers, and a few epic tweets, he doesn't stop. We even saw him lying on the Camp Nou pitch in an image that sparked memes faster than a Rashford counterattack. The atmosphere in the locker room also deserves its own chapter. Flick has brought German discipline, but with a touch of good humor that motivates the players. GAVI, for example, is in guard dog mode after his injury, and they say he even leaves bruises on the rookies during training. PEDRI, on the other hand, doesn't just shine on the pitch. He also dropped a comment that raised eyebrows. He said he admires Real Madrid's Jude Bellingham. Don't panic, Cules, he's not switching to the dark side. It's just professional admiration, even if some are already joking that PEDRI is plotting an impossible trade. And then there's LAMINE Yamal, who isn't just scoring goals but is also matching Vinicius Jr. in EA Sports FC 26 ratings. Yes, the video game has already delivered its verdict. Yamal is in the top 10, and Cules are already dreaming of seeing him lift the Ballon d'Or before he turns 20. The transfer market, though it closed on August 30th, saw more moves than a chess match. In addition to Rashford and Joan Garcia, Barça has set its sights on Athletic Bilbao's winger Nico Williams, who seems destined to wear the Blaugrana sooner or later. Rumors say the club is close to finalizing his transfer, which would be like bringing Batman and Robin together with Yamal in attack. But it's not just about arrivals. Players like Andreas Christensen, who only played 6 matches last season due to injury, might be looking for an exit. And Ferran Torres has a jaw-dropping offer from Saudi Arabia that would make any accountant tremble. Even young Hector Fort is on Paris FC's radar, though the La Masia graduate seems determined to fight for a spot in the first team. And let's not forget Pau Victor, who left for Braga for 12 million. A transfer that left Barça with profits but a hint of nostalgia. The Barça women's team is also making headlines. Jonathan Giraldez's girls, now under new management after his departure, kicked off the season with a presentation at the Johan Cruyff Stadium that was a true celebration. With players like Aitana Bonmati, Salma Paralluelo, and young Vicky Lopez, the team promises to continue dominating European football. Their Asian tour was a resounding success, with packed stadiums and media impact that cements Barça Femení as a global reference. If the men dream of the Champions League, the women are no different. The Women's Champions League is on the horizon, and nothing seems to be able to stop them. In the chapter of curiosities, we can't skip the Ter Stegen saga. The German goalkeeper, who has always been a pillar of the team, is in the eye of the storm. First, the club temporarily stripped him of the captain's armband for a disciplinary issue. No one really knows what happened, but rumors point to a heated argument in the locker room. Then, the arrival of Joan Garcia cast doubt on his starting spot, and to top it all off, La Liga left him without a number in the squad update, as if he were a youth player just called up. Ter Stegen, with that Teutonic character, finally broke his silence and said he's ready to negotiate. But Cules know that without him in goal, the Blaugrana net wouldn't be the same. We'll have to see how this saga unfolds, but for now, The German remains the guardian of the goal, and as the team prepares for the match against Rayo, we can't forget LAMINE Yamal's impact off the pitch. The kid, at just 18, is already a media star. His new contract until 2031 is proof that Barça is betting on him as the future of the club, and for good reason. His dribbles, vision, and audacity have even rivals applauding. But not everything is perfect. Yamal and Lewandowski were reprimanded by UEFA for not following the rules during a doping control. An anecdote that, while not serious, shows that even stars have their slip-ups. And speaking of slip-ups, the Vallecas pitch is making headlines. Culés are praying it won't be a disaster that complicates today's match. The atmosphere in Barcelona is pure effervescence. The city breathes football, and Culés are more excited than a child during the Three Kings parade. Barça's Peñas are organizing trips to follow the team in the Champions League, and social media is on fire with memes about Laporta, Yamal, and even poor Ter Stegen. But beyond the jokes, there's a shared feeling: this Barça has something special. Flick has managed to turn the team around by blending the essence of Culé DNA with a touch of German pragmatism. The results are there: a domestic treble last season, La Liga, Copa del Rey, Supercopa, and a Champions League semifinal that, despite ending in defeat to Inter, showed this team can compete with anyone. As Barça prepares for the clash against Rayo, Culés are already dreaming of what's next. The match against Valencia on September 14th will be another tough test, and the Champions League will kick off in full force just days later. Flick, with his notebook full of tactics and his "don't mess with me" stare, has the team ready to give it their all. And the players, from veterans like Lewandowski to youngsters like Kubarsi, know that 2026 could be historic. Because let's be honest, Culés, winning La Liga is great, but lifting the Champions League in Budapest would be like touching the sky with our fingertips. So here we are, Culés, living in the moment with a Barça that makes us vibrate. Every pass, every goal, every Yamal dribble is a reminder of why we love this club. And if you want to keep living this passion with us, subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning, and what's coming promises to be wild. Culés, the Blaugrana fever is at its peak, and here we are on this vibrant August 31st, 2025, hearts beating to the rhythm of Barça. The team is about to step onto the Vallecas pitch to face Rayo, and the whole city seems to be holding its breath, as if we're all waiting for a decisive penalty in the 93rd minute. But before the referee blows the whistle for kickoff, let's dive deep into more details about this FC Barcelona that keeps us on the edge of our seats, with that Culé humor that makes us smile even when the ball hits the post. Let's start with the locker room, because that's where the magic happens. Hansi Flick has turned the dressing room into a mix of a war room and an ideas lab. They say the German has a whiteboard where he sketches plays with such precision. He looks like an architect designing the new Camp Nou. But it's not all tactics and discipline. The players have their fun side too. GAVI, for example, is the king of good vibes and has been seen organizing card games on bus trips, with bets ranging from buying coffee to doing push-ups at training. LAMINE Yamal, who at 18 is already a star on and off the pitch, joins in, and rumor has it his bluffing skills rival the best poker players in Las Vegas. But don't be fooled, the relaxed atmosphere doesn't mean a lack of focus. Flick has instilled an iron mentality, and every training session feels like a final exam. The players know one bad pass can mean a chat with the coach that leaves you stiffer than a statue. Speaking of training, the technical staff is overwhelmed. Alongside Flick, the team has a coaching staff that seems straight out of a sci-fi movie. There's his assistant, Marcus Org, who spots defensive mistakes like he has a built-in radar. Then there's the fitness coach, Pepe Mincho, a Galician who makes the players run like they're fleeing a bull at San Fermin. High-intensity drills are the norm, and even Lewandowski, who's no spring chicken, admitted he's never sweated so much in his life. But the results speak for themselves. The 2026 Barça doesn't just play pretty, they run like there's no tomorrow. Data from the last match against Mallorca shows the team covered a total of 118 kilometers, a number that would make a marathon runner blush. And if we're talking data, we can't ignore the impact of technology on this Barça. The club has invested in a data analysis system that looks like it came from NASA. Every match is recorded with cameras capturing the slightest movement, and a team of analysts breaks down everything from the distance between center-backs to the angle of Pedri's passes. Players receive personalized reports after each game, with charts more complicated than an expert-level Sudoku. Dani Olmo, who reads everything, joked that he needs a PhD to understand the reports. But the truth is, These tools help the team fine-tune the details. For example, analysis of the Mallorca match showed that 78% of Barca's attacks came down the right wing, where Yamal and Rafinha linked up like cousins at a family barbecue. Off the pitch, Barca is also making waves digitally. The club's official account, Barca X, is on fire, posting everything from training videos to memes that would make even the most serious Espanyol fans laugh. A few days ago, they shared a clip of LAMINE Yamal nutmegging someone in rondos, and it went viral, trending even in Japan. The social media strategy is clear. Connect with Kules worldwide, especially the younger fans who see Yamal as an idol worthy of a bedroom poster. If you're hooked on these stories and want to follow Barca's daily life in detail, subscribe to the channel, because we bring you the pure Blaugrana gold that doesn't even make it to the best sports shows. The Youth Academy deserves special attention too. La Masia remains the crown jewel, and in 2026, it's producing talent that has scouts across Europe drooling. Beyond Yamal, who's already a star, there are names like Marc Guiu, who's tearing it up at Barca Athletic, and Diego Almeida, a centre-back who plays like a brick wall with cleats. The youth coaches, led by Jordi Rora, are working on a long-term project to develop players who aren't just skilled but also understand the Kules DNA. That means, in addition to learning to play like a symphony, the youngsters get lessons on the club's history, from Kubala to Cruyff. There's even an unofficial course at La Masia, How to Survive a Match at the Bernabeu. Veterans like Xavi share anecdotes that motivate the kids like they're heading into holy war. Barca's impact isn't limited to the pitch or social media. The club is fully committed to social projects that add a special shine to the Blaugrana jersey. The Barca Foundation launched a campaign to promote inclusive football in Barcelona schools, with workshops where children, regardless of background or ability, can play and learn the club's values. At one of these events last week in Badalona, Alejandro Bald showed up and played a mini-match with the kids, even letting one nutmeg him for fun. These initiatives not only reinforce Barca's image as more than a club, but also captivate the next generation, who are already asking for Yamal jerseys for Christmas. Economically, Barca is still navigating choppy waters, but with a steadier hand than before. Joan Laporta, who seems to have more lives than a cat, has secured sponsorship deals that have given the finances a much-needed boost. The new Nike contract, renewed until 2030, includes clauses that reward sporting success, so every Lewandowski goal is like a bank deposit. Plus, the club is exploring new revenue streams, like a streetwear line inspired by the Blaugrana colors, which is already a hit among the trendiest Kules. Imagine Rafinha rocking a hoodie with the club crest in a TikTok video, guaranteed success. But it's not all glamour. Financial fair play remains a headache, and the club has had to get creative with loans and transfers to stay on the UEFA's good side. The medical team is also in the spotlight. After GAVI's injury last year, the physios and doctors implemented a recovery protocol that looks like it came from a Swiss clinic. Every player has a personalized plan with cryotherapy sessions, seemingly magical massages, and even diets heavy on quinoa. Lewandowski, who's not exactly a salad fan, joked in an interview that he misses the pierogi from his native Poland, but admitted the Barca diet makes him strong as a bull. And it's not just him. The data shows muscle injuries are down 15% this season, proving the behind-the-scenes work is paying off. Even Ronald Araujo, who used to seem as fragile as crystal, now plays like a defensive titan. On the European horizon, Barca is preparing the logistics for the Champions League matches with military precision. The trip to Newcastle, for example, is already planned down to the millimeter. The team will travel on a chartered plane with assigned seats so that GAVI and Yamal don't argue over the window seat. The technical staff has studied the opposition jerseys in depth and knows the danger comes from players like Alexander Isak, who has a striker's instinct that is frightening. But Barca has confidence in its defensive system, with Condé and Cubarsí forming a duo that seems to have come out of the same mold. Cubarsí, by the way, is the new idol of young Kules. At just 18 years old, the young defender plays with the calm of a Buddhist monk and the aggression of a starving wolf. The Camp Nou issue remains a soap opera, but there is juicy news. The work is progressing, and although the pace is not exactly that of a Formula One race, you can already see the first outlines of what will be the stadium of the future. The stands are taking shape, and the workers have hung a banner with Visca el Barca to keep morale high. The club has promised that members will have priority to inaugurate the new seats, which, by the way, will be so comfortable that you could take a nap during a boring match. But in the meantime, Montjuic remains the temporary home, and the Kules have already turned the Olympic Stadium into a fortress. The last time the team played there, the chants could be heard all the way to Tibidabo, and the rivals left with their morale at zero. On an individual level, each player has his own story to tell. Rafinha, for example, is experiencing a rebirth. After a few seasons where he seemed not to find his place, the Brazilian is flying down the right wing, with decisive passes that are pure caviar. In the match against Mallorca, he delivered an assist that left the opposing defenders searching for the ball as if it were the Holy Grail. Then there is Frenkie de Jong, who has become that metronome that makes Barca's game flow like water. The Dutchman, who had to face transfer rumors to Bayern, has made it clear that his heart is Blaugrana, and his new contract until 2029 is proof of that. And we cannot forget Marc Bernal, the LAMINE graduate who takes advantage of every minute that Flick gives him in the first team. The young player has a vision of the game that recalls the best moments of Busquets, and the Cules are already dreaming of seeing him start in a Clásico. Barca's impact on popular culture is also at its peak. In the streets of Barcelona, Blaugrana jerseys are as common as tourists asking for paella at 3 p.m. The city's bars are filled with screens broadcasting every match, and discussions about whether Yamal is better than Neymar have become a classic after-meal topic. Even the street artists on Los Ramblas have started painting caricatures of LAMINE with his mane in the wind and the ball glued to his foot. And in schools, children replicate Yamal's dribbles in the playgrounds, while teachers try to explain that football is not an official subject. But in Barcelona, Barca is more than a sport, it is a religion, and the Cules are its most devoted followers. The next match against Rayo Vallecano is keeping the fans on the edge of their seats. Vallecas is a complicated pitch with fans who press as if it were a final, but Barca arrives with high morale and a clear plan: dominate the ball, press high, and not let the opponent breathe. Flick has insisted that the key will lie in the details. A well-placed pass, a timely run, a foul avoided. The players have studied Rayo's videos endlessly and know that players like Alvaro Garcia can be a headache if they have space, but with Condé marking like a guard dog and Ter Stegen or Garcia, depending on how the goalkeeper saga evolves, Barca has the tools to bring back the 3 points. Meanwhile, in Barcelona, the city is experiencing the match in its own way. The bars in El Raval and El Born are packed, with giant screens broadcasting the clash as if it were a Champions League final. On the terraces, Cules discuss tactics as if they were coaches, while waiters serve beers at the same speed as Yamal dribbles. Even the tourists, who are normally more concerned with the Sagrada Familia, have been swept up in the atmosphere. In Plaça de Catalunya, a group of Japanese people was seen singing Tot el Camp, with an accent that, although imperfect, has its charm. And in schools, the teachers have already given up. The students only talk about the match, and some have even drawn Lamine Yamal in their notebooks, with the number 10 on his back and a ball at his feet. Barca's impact goes far beyond football. The club is taking advantage of this moment of euphoria to strengthen its global brand. In Asia, where the Cule passion is growing like foam, Barca has organized football clinics for children, with LAMINE coaches teaching the secrets of tiki-taka. During one of these sessions, organized in Seoul, a 12-year-old kid scored a spectacular goal that went viral on X, with thousands of Cules demanding that he be signed immediately. In Latin America, the club is negotiating an agreement with a streaming platform to broadcast documentaries about the history of Barca, from the days of Kubala to the Messi era. And in Africa, the Barca Foundation is working on a project to build football fields in disadvantaged communities, with the goal of bringing the Cule spirit to every corner of the planet. On the economic front, the club continues to perform acrobatics, but with more style than a Cirque du Soleil juggler. In addition to the agreement with Nike, Barca has reached a partnership with a tech brand that will place its logo on the sleeve of the jersey. The details are mysterious, but there are whispers that it includes a clause to develop an official club app using artificial intelligence to analyze matches in real time. Imagine an app that explains why PEDRI chose that pass instead of shooting. It would be like having Flick whispering in your ear. But beyond revenue, the club continues to struggle with financial fair play. The departures of players like Nigo Martinez and Pau Victor have helped, but Laporta knows that every signing is a puzzle. That is why the possible transfer of Nico Williams is being negotiated with a magnifying glass to avoid breaking UEFA rules. The marketing department is also in top form. This summer, Barca launched an advertising campaign that got people talking. A video featuring Lamine Yamal, GAVI, and Aitana Bonmati roaming the streets of Barcelona, from the Arc de Triomphe to Barceloneta Beach, showing how football unites the city. The ad ends with the 3 players at Camp Nou, looking up at the sky as a voiceover declares, "Barca is our dream, and the dream never stops. Cules flooded X with praise for the campaign, and some even called for a full-length film. If these kinds of stories give you chills as a Cule, subscribe to the channel, because here we tell you everything that makes Barça so much more than a club, and what's coming next promises to give you goosebumps. In the youth academy, La Masia remains a dream factory. Beyond Guiu and Almeida, other names are starting to make noise. Pau Prim, a midfielder with a vision reminiscent of Xavi, stands out in the juvenile A team, and scouts are already comparing him to the greats. Then there's Noah Darwich, the German who arrived a few years ago and is proving he has the makings of a star. In training, Darwich links up perfectly with Guiu, and the two have pulled off moves that left the coaches speechless. La Masia director Jordi Rora said this generation is special, and for good reason. These young players aren't just talented, they wear the badge in their hearts. Even in practice matches, they play like it's a Clásico. The women's team is also in the spotlight. Fresh off their Asian tour, they're preparing for the start of the Liga F with overflowing enthusiasm. Salma Paralluelo, who earned applause from everyone at the Olympics, is ready to lead the attack, while Aitana Bonmati remains the queen of midfield. The new coach, following Giraldez's departure, has brought a more direct approach without losing the positional play that made Barça Femení a benchmark. The next match against Deportivo will be a celebration at the Johan Cruyff Stadium, with thousands of Cules cheering from the stands. And that's not all. The club is working on a plan to boost attendance with promotions for members and activities for kids, like face painting in Blaugrana colors. In the realm of curiosities, we can't ignore the player's impact on fashion. Lamine Yamal, with his laid-back style, was spotted wearing limited edition sneakers that are already sold out worldwide. Rafinha, meanwhile, collaborated with a Brazilian brand to launch a line of caps that's a hit in São Paulo. Even Lewandowski, who seemed more of a suit-and-tie guy, has embraced streetwear with a collection of hoodies featuring his number 9. These small details strengthen Barca's connection with younger fans, who see their idols as more than just footballers, they're icons of a generation. And as the clock ticks toward kickoff at Vallecas, the Cules keep dreaming. Every pass, every dribble, every save from Ter Stegen is one step closer to glory. This Barca, with Flick at the helm and a team blending talent and grit, has everything it takes to define an era. So, Cules, get your voices ready. Today is a day to shout, feel the excitement, and take pride in being part of Barca. Força Barca, now and forever.